And hello everybody, it is BrawlFan1 back again tonight for another live stream. How's everyone doing tonight? Once again with me, I got the Dannys and the Bryans.
Hello.
It is the Mistakes and Issues live stream, where we talk about each character that I've done, one at a time, and we talk about possibly any mistakes that I've made in the video, like regarding factual information that I may have gotten wrong or things like that. We'll talk about issues with the moveset itself that you guys may have, whether that's just something you don't fully understand, maybe something you don't fully agree with. Just ask me questions about it, and even for you guys to give your ideas on it. Just because again, I'd love to hear you guys' ideas, spreading the awareness and such on everything. We'll be going through characters 31 to 42, so it's from the Knight to Amaterasu. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna start with the Knight from Hollow Knight. So first thing, before I ask you guys what the issues are, I know the big one that people were yelling at me about, like all the Hollow Knight fans were yelling at me about, were when I called the story and the game of Hollow Knight as a whole simple and new. Why are people getting angry at that? I just have to ask. That confuses me so much. As for the story being simple, it is simple. It's an easy to follow story. I had no complications understanding it whatsoever. It's certainly not Kingdom Hearts. It's not Metal Gear Solid. It's an easy to understand story. I know it has a lot of lore. Not even really the lore is that hard to understand.
Stickmaster said in the chat, it's like, unless you try going to the theories and whatnot, and it's like, yeah, lore is one thing. Because it's like, yeah, you can learn about, like, everything within the world and whatnot, know it's world building and everything, but when it comes to, like, the basic plot synopsis of what Hollow Knight is, it's not complicated to understand. It's just the world building is what fleshes it out.
Yeah.
Right.
It's another one of, because I know a lot of people in the comments also referred to this user called Mossbag. I didn't know who was before this. Mossbag actually contacted me on Twitter, and he said, for the most part, he agrees that the story itself is simple. He just says that there's a lot of lore which could lead to complications, and that's fair. That's fair to say. Like, I agree with him on that part. But again, it's one of those things as well, and he himself even said this. It may seem complicated until you reach the end. It's one of those things where it's like, you need to slowly understand the story as you progress through the game, which in reality, that's kind of the case of any story game, I would say. Like, you're not going to understand everything until you finish it. And then as for the new thing, you guys, I think people would just get mad to get mad. Like, yes, game initially came out in 2017, but for video game standards, that's still fairly new. And on top of that, I only said that so I can give a spoiler warning at the beginning of the game for the game's story. So people were getting mad at me for calling the game new, but completely ignoring the fact that I was trying to respect the game's story to avoid spoilers. So be mad all you want, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it just felt like an instance of people being mad just to get mad. It's like, yeah, Hollow Knight does have a pretty. Yeah, Hollow Knight just has a very vocal fandom is the thing.
I know a lot of people were talking about how they didn't care for the idea that with the soul system that I set up, how Hollow Knight would gain a single soul after every hit that it lands, and then would be able to have an additional up special jump for every soul it has. So you could effectively Wall of Death somebody that way if you're skilled enough, which is kind of the point. That was kind of what I was going for, but really only skilled players, I imagine, would be able to get away with that easily.
On top of that, there's always, you can at least try to DI out of it. It's not like those things are, like, guaranteed true combos.
Okay, Dark Meta Knight 7 says, I think having the Shade Cloak be part of the down B is unnecessary. It could just be his dodge animation.
Down B? It was the side B. And that is an option, yeah, I get that. I mostly had it there just for, I guess I wanted him to feel like he was in the game. And you really can't do that if you only made it a dodge roll or an air dodge. Because at that point, he's not going to feel like he does in the game. Because when you're playing Hollow Knight, you're dashing everywhere. So I wanted it to be an option. Like, I I wanted Hollow Knight for the most part to feel like he did in his own game, and I feel like making the side special the Shade Cloak was probably a pretty important way to do that. If it was just a dodge roll or an air dodge, like, you're then limited by the mechanics of Smash at that point. Because remember, air dodging, you're left with a huge amount of end lag, and dodge rolling, you know, the frames get longer the more you use it. And I wanted it to be an option that to allow Hollow Knight to have the same kind of mobility that he has in his game.
Dark Meta Knight asks, you could turn the Shade Cloak into Sharp Shadow, the version that deals damage.
That was something else that a lot of people brought up, and yeah, it could. So that way it'd be more like Fox's deal. I know back then I didn't much care for the idea, because I was thinking of like how the Wonder Wing works for Banjo-Kazooie, how it's an invincible dash that deals damage, and I don't care for the idea of having an attack that also makes you invincible while you're attacking. But over time, I thought about it, and I was like, it could. That is an option. Like, it's like, I feel like if that's the case, though, it can't, like, well, no, it's not spammable, though. That's the thing, because I made it where the invincibility itself isn't spammable. It works like it does in the game, where because you can spam dash, but you can't spam the Shade Cloak specifically, because when you use the dash, you'll automatically use the Shade Cloak if you have it, but then you need to wait a few seconds for the Shade Cloak to recharge, and while you do, you're forced to just use a normal dash. So then, you know what? In that case, you're right. Shade the Sharp Shadow, I should have probably used that then, because then it's not like it's always an attack, because it would only be an attack when you actually use the cloak. Otherwise, when you have the normal dash, it's just the normal dash, and that's it. So either way. So next up, character 32, Sora, with Roxas as the Echo Fighter, and Shion as the alternate costume for the Echo Fighter.
I'm noticing a couple people are asking why make Roxas an Echo Fighter versus his own fighter, considering that Roxas can dual wield.
Yeah, that was one thing that I came across, like one little thing I came across, but also remember, for a majority of when you play as Roxas, he does, now, like, yeah, in 3, and, like, at the end of 2 and such, he fights dual-bladed. But, like, through 3, 5, 8, as well as at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, he fights single-bladed. And when he did fight single-bladed, he fought identically to Sora. Plus, I mean, Roxas is literally Sora's nobody. It kind of just makes sense. Why? Sora has so much moveset potential, it's actually ridiculous. Why is he seriously not in Smash already? One word. Disney. Knights and Riala. This was Danny's first commentary. So were there any issues with Knights or Riala, the Echo Fighter? Their recovery game is way too broken. They can fly, that's the point. That's why we made Knights super light. So they're really easy to kill.
Well, here's the other thing too. It's like, you say like being able to like jump so many like times and being able to stay in the air is really overpowered. My question is, how often do you run into players who will actually try to anti-air you? Because those are a thing.
And it's like, I think like a lot of people, I noticed they were also asking why not just have Knights fly in the first place. And it's like, do you realize how broken that would be? If like Knights just like, you know, just flew around and like had like no chance of like ending up on the ground or anything. Yeah, that would be completely broken.
Yeah.
Like Knights could literally like, you know, get a kill off of somebody off Final Destination and then just like fly under the stage and stay there until time runs out. That's broken.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
Yeah,
well,
that leads to the camping problems.
Well, here's the thing though about that, Danny, because like if we're actually talking about tournaments, you don't even need to take a stock. You just need to have the percent lead, and then you're just like, I'm just gonna hang up here all day.
That was why we gave Knights, you know, that was why, you know, BJ and I, we were thinking about this, you know, that was why we gave Knights a ridiculous amount of jumps to help like kind of simulate the idea that yes, this is flight. But you know, just like with, you know, like with Kirby, like with Jigglypuff, once you've used up all those jumps, the character's got to land. It's the only way we could make this fair.
Yeah. Knight should be a balloon or featherweight and should only have 6 jumps instead of 7. Well, the amount of jumps they have is subjective. As for balloon or featherweight, what was the weight we gave Knights? Let me double check that. I put Knights at around the same weight as Sonic and Duck Hunt, which yeah, it's a below average lightweight. I probably should have made Knights a little lighter. In retrospect, you're right about that.
Mushroom Fusion says, what if they turned into the kid that they're dualized with for the shield break? Like, you know, like the shield is broken and that separates them because they're not dualized anymore.
That's a good idea. I like that.
I do like that.
Yeah, because the shield break and it's just the kid.
Because we've seen that in Journey of Dreams. Like, seriously, play the Helen levels in Journey of Dreams. Every dream world, something happens that they end up getting separated.
Alrighty, yep. So, Geno. What issues did we have with Geno? Geno Boost is up B. Geno Whirl is side B. Geno Blast is down B. You've ruined the tradition. What tradition? The Geno Boost is not actually a boost. It's not a vertical boost. It's a power boost. It's not an attack in any means. All Geno movesets since ancient. What? Okay. See, again, I don't look at other movesets before I make my own moveset. So I don't know what other Geno movesets do.
Oh, I think they're also referring to, like, you know, the fan-made Smash game, which, again, we're not recognizing and we're not building our movesets based off of fan interpretation stuff. Like, we're not, you know, we've made it abundantly clear we're not referencing or, you know, we're not building it off of fan stuff. We're trying to stick as to the original source material. Because it's like, I mean, I know it's like Geno especially, like, a lot of people are saying, you know, oh, well, Geno did this in this Smash game. It's like, it's not an official Smash game, so we don't care.
Yeah, and even in the case of, like, say, like, well, I know this user did this for their moveset. Well, that's not the point. This is for our moveset.
So moving on, Marx.
Marx just wants to be friends.
Marx just wants to see the world burn. Do his wings extend as hitboxes? I say they do. Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, yeah, you'd say, like, they'd be able to, you could hit the wings and that would also count, kind of like how being able to hit Mewtwo's tail would count.
Here's my thing about the down special. Like, people say that the charge is too long, but people have to remember, if someone's trying to run up on you while you're charging, you could just release it and just unleash whatever it is you have ready. And Marx, for the most part, is mostly invincible during those attacks. Like, for the paintballs and the energy balls, he can still take damage, but he can't be knocked out of it. So really, it's probably more dangerous to try to run up on Mark when he's charging that thing than it is to just wait it out.
And now we can talk about BJ behind his back.
BJ's a scrub, pass it on.
Next up, the heavy weapons guy. Regarding the up special, Stickmaster and Maniac brought this to my attention during the live preview for Heavy. And that's that apparently there's this mode in Team Fortress that I was not even aware of. But it involves...
I think it's Man Up.
Man Up? Okay. But it involves giving all of the mercs hook shots. I'm gonna just say right now, I'm kicking myself for not knowing about that, because let's be real here. Though the up special that I ended up giving to Heavy is probably a little more Heavy appropriate. If I'm fully honest, if I knew about that hook shots, I would have defaulted to that. I would have given that to him in a heartbeat. Again, that I guess that leads up to a preference thing. Like, the hook shot just seems like a better idea, but the uppercut seems more akin to Heavy itself. So again, that kind of just ends into a preference thing. Well, actually, one thing I know regarding hats, at least. I know I made mention in the video how I'm sure that hats would be incorporated in some way, but I just wasn't sure how. A lot of people did actually suggest the idea of how you have your 8 alts, but then if you want to, you can choose whatever hat you want in the same way you would pick like a Pokemon trainer's Pokemon. It's like you can click your alt and then click on like Heavy's head or something, and that would change his hats.
He did mention in TF2, there is a thing called crouch walking.
Yes.
And you did,
yes. That was a mistake on my part. I forgot they can do that.
Yeah.
Heavy.
So should we count that as a crawl for Heavy?
Yeah, it should be. I should have been. That was my bad part. I forgot he can crouch.
Okay. Mr. Maniac, I guess he wants me to bring up about crits. He said in his document, he writes, considering the recent big push to remove random crits from TF2 in the last few years, especially because of a video by Uncle Dane, I didn't include them for the moveset. Hero wasn't out yet either, so his brain wasn't thinking that they would do that. I did make it so if the smash attacks were charged to the max, it would have the crit text will appear above the heavy with the crit sound playing. So like simulating the crit, but not actually doing the crit. That's what it sounds like.
All right, well, I don't much. I would like for the heavies move, like for, and not just heavy. When I do Team Fortress 2 characters in the future, they're all gonna get random crits because that's just a TF2 thing. I don't care if people are pushing for it to be removed. It's in the game. People are just salty. They need to get over it. It's a part. It's a part of the game.
And listen, you just got outplayed. Right? Learn from the matchups.
That said, actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I scrolled up on my heavy moveset list, and I remember something. So the intro that I made for heavy, how it just has him parachuting in, that was admittedly a weak one, but I couldn't think of anything else better than that. But then a lot of people suggested something that was way better, and that was him coming in on a teleporter. Like the one that like breaks as soon as he steps off of it. And that's just such a better idea.
Yeah. I like that.
So next up, Freddy Fazbear, the Halloween episode.
I feel like the first thing that we should address is telling people the difference between an actual jump scare and just
Oh wow. Oh,
Why?
Wow. Thank you, Toa.
Oh!
Thank you.
Do you people... It's like, can you eat?
Do you have, like, I know that was a Christmas present the last stream, but it's like, do you have presents for your family or something?
Can you take care of yourself? Are you okay? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like we should also, like, explain to some people the difference between an actual jump scare and just a jump scare animation.
Those people can be babies all they want. I don't care.
I noticed more so towards the end when you were talking about the alternate colors. You know, it's like, you know, yes, you referenced like all the different versions of Freddy, but you also gave like, you know, colors based on Foxy and Bonnie, and people were asking, where's the Chica reference? Kind of hard to make a Chica reference when we've already made the Golden Freddy reference.
Yeah. Somebody asked, how does Freddy's up B work? Does the whole screen go static, or just a specific area? Only the area, like, directly above Freddy. Like, if the whole screen static every time Freddy uses up special, they get annoying real quick. So no, it's just the area above Freddy. That's like it just shows like a square or like a staticky area, and then the static reappears somewhere else with Freddy appearing behind him. And then I saw some people mention how they don't like the sludge attack for the side special. I gave him that mostly because it's scary. Like, I know a lot of people were talking about how they wished I gave Freddy the pizza roll attack, whatever that was from FNAF World, as opposed to sludge. But here, let me clarify something about this Freddy moveset. I made Freddy not necessarily just based on specifically classic Freddy, but more so as a kind of a jumbled up representation of just the Freddy animatronic in general. Like, if its name is Freddy, it got referenced. And the sludge attack was used by a bunch of different Freddy animatronics in FNAF World. And I chose that over... Well, for one thing, Pizza Whale is not scary. I wanted the moveset to be terrifying to watch. That was the idea. He's a horror character. He's supposed to be. And Sludge, in concept and in concept and context, makes the most sense. Because it's a gross-looking attack. And if you get hit by it, you get slowed down, making it much easier for this horror-themed character who's trying to kill you to catch up. That's kind of the theming. That's the theming behind it. The only really scary attack that I didn't give him was Mic Toss, but I felt that one was a little more obligated for me to give him a proper projectile. Not to mention, a good chunk of the Freddys do use that. So I felt that one was probably like the only appropriate one to give him that wasn't really that scary. Here's how I kind of imagine Freddy running and walking. Here, actually, you know what? I will do something special for you guys. So, like, I imagine Freddy, when he's walking, obviously he'd be something like this, you know, like kind of more robotic-like, something like that. But then I imagine when he runs, he'd look a little more terrifying. Like, he'd be like, ah, ah, like something more akin to that.
That makes sense.
Hope you enjoyed the show. So from Freddy, we got Knuckles. Did we have any problems with Knuckles? I know a big thing that a lot of people brought up with Knuckles is that they didn't like how I made him way lighter than Sonic. They thought he should be heavier. I need to make this a point of contention for weight. The weight of a character in Smash doesn't always reflect how heavy they actually are. Weight is really just there for balancing purposes. The biggest examples I can think of for that are like how Mewtwo is lighter than Pikachu in Smash. Regardless, it's like I made him light because I wanted Knuckles to be both a fast character that hits as hard as a heavyweight.
Yeah. So he's more so a glass cannon.
Yeah, so he needs to be light in order to be easy to kill. If he was too heavy, even if he was just an above average lightweight or a below average midweight class character, he'd be busted. He'd be so hard to kill that he just deals way too much damage. He needs to be easy to kill. Could Knuckles wall cling? Yes, he can. And I know people were wondering why I didn't just let Knuckles climb. That would require a whole new Smash mechanic. Plus, I think it would just be bad. Because there's not a whole lot of walls that would really merit it. Plus, I imagine it would be super punishable. Like, he'd start climbing up the wall, someone would just come down, clinging against the wall, and then just spike him. I just see it being, it'd be bad. It'd be super exploitable. I think him being able to wall cling and wall jump is enough.
Greninja looks down. Free real estate.
Yeah, really.
Can Knuckles have Terry's final smash?
Buster Wolf?
Listen, we just want to drop an island on people, okay?
Yeah, can we
Let us
just
have this.
well, let's just like I love the final smash that we gave to like actually funny story regarding that final smash. Brian and I both came up with the idea at the same time without saying a word to each other about it. It was literally like I forget what the actual conversation was about, but I was bouncing ideas off of Brian for Knuckles' moveset, and I was stumped on the final smash. I did not want to do Hyper Knuckles. That's just too niche. And I was I was just brainstorming. I was thinking like could there be something to do with like Angel Island or the Master Emerald? And then at that moment, a light bulb like popped out for both of us, and like literally we both had the same idea at the exact same time. It was glorious. All right, so next up, Agumon. Who cares about Agumon? Banned. Banned.
How quick is the Digivolution?
Digivolution, it's near instantaneous. It's about as quick as changing Pokemon.
Agumon in the fully evolved state is too OP and needs nerfs.
It's not as broken as people seem to give it credit for, or as people seem to think it is. Because Agumon and even Greymon would be low tier. Metal Greymon would be a little bit better, but it would still have some problems. War Greymon would be like the final moveset. Like that'd be the real moveset. That's kind of the deal. Like, I know a lot of people complained about how they felt the Digivolution was too fast. But the thing is, you don't want to be playing as Agumon. That's the point. In every Digimon game, most Digimon games where you Digivolve, you're only the rookie for like the first hour of the game. Not even. You generally gain access to the champion form very quick and are using the champion form and all the forms onward for the rest of the game. You are not using the rookie. The rookie is just too weak. That's the point. Yeah, that's going to have to be one of those things where we'd have to see it in action and tweak it as it goes, but we don't have that luxury, unfortunately.
Yeah, nope.
Could you imagine winning a tournament with Koromon? That'd be a pop-off, that's for certain.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that'd be a career ender. Like, that person would never appear in another... Yeah.
Can Koromon shield and air dodge?
Yeah, it can. It is at least able to do that. If you were to get assist trophy damage or something, would that count towards Digivolution? I actually never thought about that.
I don't think it should, because you're not actually attacking.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't.
What about items?
If you threw the item, then sure.
What Digimon games would you recommend for somebody who's never played any of them and has only seen the anime?
Cyber Sleuth. Definitely Cyber Sleuth. Digimon Stories Cyber Sleuth, both games are fantastic pickups. Like, they are excellent games. The story's great. The gameplay is fantastic. Like, they recently released the Switch version that has both Cyber Sleuth games in one package. And it's a phenomenal pickup. I highly, highly recommend Cyber Sleuth. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to Flowey and Azrael. I'm gonna call some people out right now. Before you request, please watch the whole video, because the amount of people requesting for Azrael on the Flowey video made me really sad. Okay?
Flowey's down B seems too easy to hit, especially considering you get a whole new form out of it. I think it at least needs to have some start lag. I know the neutral B helps to make it hit, but yeah.
Well, that's the point, because I tried to emphasize this in the video. Azrael, I'm not treating Azrael like I did Sans and Undyne. I'm treating him like Zelda Sheik. It's easy to land, so it can be easy to transform. Like, it is, that's why I gave him, yeah, the neutral B that traps pose and gives him hit stun, as well as the down throw that buries, which more people are probably going to be using more than the neutral special. But regardless, it's easy to land, so it's easy to transform. But because you transform, that also means you can't spam it. So it's not like you can just spam it over and over and over again, because once you use it, you transform. So it's literally not spammable. But that's also why it's super easy to land. Here was actually an idea that I had for Flowey specifically, Flowey's up air, that I thought of a week after I posted the video, and I'm kicking myself for not thinking about it sooner. Because as you may remember, I made Flowey's up air the bear trap, but then I realized I should have made it the Photoshop Flowey mouth. Dang it. That's what that should have been, the Photoshop Flowey mouth. That said, I'm just gonna say this now. Actually, there was a lot of people that in the comments were saying things like that regarding Photoshop Flowey. They were saying things like, it's Omega Flowey, not Photoshop Flowey. Like, just to reiterate, Omega Flowey is the fan name. Photoshop Flowey is the official name. Just to get that out of the way now. The official name is dumb. You're dumb! Alright, so anything else on Flowey before we move on?
I think the people, they want to get to their champion.
Their Lord and Savior.
Alright then, we'll go ahead and move on then. I Am Bread, the community made moveset. Now this one might be a tad harder for me to really go over because it's not my moveset. Like, I made a couple of a few minor alterations to it, and I did help them theme it. But for the most part, it's not mine. Bread shouldn't lose that ability when latching onto walls. I think it was made like that mostly just to keep it from being too overpowered, because he needs to be losing that ability often is the thing. Otherwise, yeah, like it'd be hard to kill. Plus, like, I know some people were saying, you don't lose that ability on walls, right? It's like, yeah, certain walls. There are dirty walls in Bread that you lose that ability on. I should know. I ran into them. In fact, you can actually see me running into a dirty wall in the Bread moveset 2 video.
Should lose Ed ability slower.
Slower? 2% a second on the ground and 1% a second on a platform is already pretty slow. Assuming you are fighting on Final Destination, so there's no platforms, and you're on the ground the entire time. It would take... what? So let's see. 2% a second. It would take 50 seconds for you to lose full Ed ability. And again, that's assuming you're just staying on the ground. You're not jumping, you're not doing anything. It's already pretty slow. Don't take it up with me, take it up with the creators. If you hate the moveset, it's not my fault.
Are there any ways to regain Ed ability?
No, because that's not how real life works. You cannot regain Ed ability in I Am Bread, and you cannot regain Ed ability in real life. Well, okay, that was a lie. Your Ed ability does refill when you use the final smash. That's the only way to do so without dying. But again, as I made clear in the video, that's because he's been toasted, and that's no longer, and you gain a new slice of bread. You're no longer, when you use Bread's final smash, after that point, you're no longer controlling the same slice of bread. You're controlling a new slice of bread. What if Bread is played in a match with no final smash? Then just do your best not to lose that ability is all. Also, why didn't I use free roam mode when getting footage? Because I'm an idiot, that's why. You know what's funny when I think about it? Technically, Bread would need to be scaled up, to match the size of the other fighters, but technically, and answer me this, Danny, is it possible to make a loaf of bread the size of a person?
You're gonna need a lot of yeast.
Yeah, but is it possible?
I don't see why it wouldn't.
So there we go.
But you're gonna need a lot of every ingredient, but you are especially gonna need a lot of yeast in a big enough oven.
And the final character of the night, Amaterasu, with Chibi Terasu as the Echo Fighter. So I guess real quickly to get one thing out of the way, some people were talking about how they don't think Chibi would work as an Echo Fighter because of the size. So to clarify something regarding Echo Fighters, Sakurai made it clear that generally an Echo Fighter can only exist if the model itself cannot be altered. When I think of altering a model, I think of like stretching out limbs, adding limbs, taking away limbs, having to move a limb somewhere else, like either up or down the torso to fit the model. But when it comes to Chibi Terasu, all they would need to do is scale the model down. Like, I've made 3D rigs before. I know how to make 3D models and rig them. Scaling a skeleton to fit a different model is not hard. It's literally here. It is literally as easy as doing this. That's it. That's all you gotta do. I don't think Chibi Terasu wouldn't work as an Echo Fighter because all we would need to do is scale the model down a little bit. Why no Ice Brush for the side B? Actually, we originally did have the Ice Brush as an idea, but we scrapped it mostly because we figured 3 were enough, and we definitely wanted the whips, and then we ended up just well, actually, interestingly enough, the moveset did go through a bit of renovations, because originally,
before it was just going to be Inferno.
Yeah, originally the side B was way different, because originally how Brian made the side B, he actually made it more akin to what Zelda does for her side B, literally like a small little light that travels across and then explodes into the Inferno. But then I was like, I don't like that. Can we try to think of something else? And then, yeah, we ultimately came to the conclusion of the Celestial Brush, which just, yeah, ended up being way better. Like, it was more fit to Amaterasu.
The secondary thing for, like, the ice is that you draw a snowflake symbol to do Hailstorm, which is a bit harder to do when you only have about 2 seconds to draw your ink trail.
Thank you, Evo. And,
yes, yeah, okay, that was a point. Someone brought that up. Brian, I wanted to ask you about this. Should we have allowed Amaterasu to be able to wall cling because of the catwalk ability?
I was actually kind of thinking about that a little bit, and, you know, I think maybe that could be a thing. Because, yeah, like, I was trying to see is, like, whether or not it's, like, because, yeah, Ami can run up the walls, but, like, I never exactly hadn't seen instances where, like, she just sticks to the wall. She just runs up it. But I guess for the context of Smash, we could get away with it.
Okay. Hold on. Could you make a moveset for Sora? Hold on. There he is. Already did. I had to do it. Sorry. How exactly big is Inferno? That's hard to exactly describe. It would be dependent on the size of the infinity that you can make with the paintbrush. Because remember, you can only paint for about 2 seconds. So how we described it, when it comes to making the bloom circle for the green trail, the infinity circle mark for the red trail, or the lightning bolt symbol for the yellow trail, you would only have just enough time to draw that out, and but before it runs out to be able to activate it. So I imagine it would be a decent size, but not too big.
Yeah, I'd say honestly, it'd probably be about the size of Ami herself.
Yeah. With that said, I think we're gonna go ahead and call it a night on that one. We had a lot of fun tonight. Got a lot of good information down. So have a good night and take care.
Yeah.